So, welcome everybody to Athletically Speaking, Wagon Wheel Sports College Football Show. We are episode 28 of this endeavor so far, and we are here finally, and quite sadly, honestly, halfway through the college football season already.
Mm,
It's
sad.
it's very sad. Like it seems like this flies by, and I'm not ready for it. Like it can't be this close to the end of the football season already.
Same.
Um, since we just recorded literally the other day. There's
Mhm.
not much in the way of college football news except for the fact that yet again, another Georgia player has been arrested. Shocker, right?
Yeah.
But
I bet.
this time, um, he was arrested on assault battery charges. If I can pull up the article,
Loved it.
if I can
Love to
get
see
that
it.
correct.
Yeah, but it doesn't involve a car, so that's a plus. Um,
Yeah, Georgia wide receiver Colby Young was arrested this morning on charges of battery and assault against an unborn child. That was 11 hours ago.
Wait, an unborn child?
Born child, so he was beating his baby mama, I guess.
Wow, that she's pregnant?
Well, that would be an unborn child.
What? That's just got worse. Like, I mean, assault and battery is bad, but that is awful.
Yeah.
I
So,
hope
I
he,
mean, he's a prick, it seems.
I hope he goes to prison.
Yeah.
Dang.
At this point, listen, I said this on one of the last episodes, but at this point, if I'm a judge in Georgia and I keep getting these Georgia players in here, I'm just going to send them all to jail. There is no you getting out. I don't give a crap. You're going to jail because clearly Kirby Smart's not doing anything to stop these people.
No,
Like he's supposed to be setting up a culture that's gonna make these people productive young men in society,
they
and
are
they're
not.
driving 180 miles an hour, crashing cars. People have died at Georgia. Literally, two people have been killed at Georgia. Nothing has stopped any of them getting arrested. Like, what more is it going to take for
No,
Georgia to do something about this guy?
it's just Georgia. Really, I mean, that's yeah, something's got to change there because yeah.
You would think the school would look at Kirby and be like, "You got to do something."
I mean, you can't, control people outside of campus, but I don't know. There's be harsh on them. Like if you're done, like your scholarship or whatever you're playing here is done. Which I mean, I'm assuming a lot of this stuff they go to jail and they would stay there for probably longer than their college career would have been.
They should.
I
They
don't
should though. Like
should, or especially this guy.
this
But
is ridiculous. It says Colby Young was arrested overnight in Athens for a pair of misdemeanor charges, battery and assault on an unborn child. Young was booked by the Athens Clarke County Police at 4:18 a.m. and remains incarcerated as of Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. with a bond amount of $2,500.
that's it. Oh, he's gonna get it. He's out then already,
No,
probably.
yeah, I'm sure his NIL already covered that crap. No
Yeah,
further details are available at the time of the publication, which just
that's
was
wild.
a few hours, several hours ago. This says Young joins a list of Georgia players that includes Daniel Harris, Samuel Munden, Bo Hewley, Kobe White, and Trevor Etienne to be arrested. Their arrests have all fallen under the category of driving-related incidents. Wide receiver Rare Thomas was dismissed from the team before the season started after a second family violence situation. So way to go, Kirby, on that one. Georgia defensive back David Daniel Sisavon also parted ways for repeatedly driving offenses during the offseason. Like, just
Dude,
are you not that smart? Like,
they have no regard for anyone else's safety or like it's not hard to not go 180 miles an hour.
it's
Like I
not
don't.
hard to not drive recklessly or beat people. Like,
Uh-huh.
you have to make a conscious effort, like, to know what you're doing to do
Yeah.
those things. Like, there's no accident. I don't
Yeah.
know. It ticks me off. You would think something's got to change at Georgia. I don't know what it is, when, or how, but something has to change.
Yeah. I think
I'm glad
so.
they lost to Bama.
Do same, man.
They deserve it. Hopefully, they lose a few more games. Maybe they'll lose to Vandy too.
Dude, oh my, yeah. I love that. Oh, they do play later this season, right? Vandy and
Believe
Georgia.
so.
Man, they might, like we were just talking about earlier. Man, if they beat Texas and then Georgia, like, oh dang,
That'd be
like
nice.
they would have to be in the top five. I mean,
They
I
got
don't.
bumped up for just those 3 games.
They would have to. I mean, you have to. That's all. I would love to see Vandy in the top five. Oh my,
You imagine if
dude.
can you imagine if they actually like beat Missouri and
Yeah,
a couple of these other games and then they beat Alabama? Like, holy crap.
they'd be ranked for sure.
Vandy's a playoff contender? Question mark.
For real, dude. They. Oh, I'd love it.
Seen wilder things.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into this thing. So right now, we're gonna do our mid-season breakdown sort of thing. We're gonna kind of pop back to our previous predictions on our playoff, see how we change on those, who we're looking at for a 12-team playoff, who we're looking at for the Heisman contender, some more defining games, kind of looking forward, and then we're going to make some breakdowns of the 3 biggest games and then make our picks. So, hopping right into this thing, I'm just going to give you my 12 teams that I got currently in the playoff. Some of these have changed, some of these have not changed, and we're going to figure these out. So, as of right now, I still got Oregon number 1. They started the season slow, but they're starting to pick it up, and I think this week versus Ohio State's going to be kind of a big domino in seeing how the rest of the season plays out and how their season plays out specifically. So I think Oregon still gets it together later in the season. I think they can still put together a game or put together a season to go win the Big Ten and possibly a natty.
Heck yeah.
How are you feeling on the Oregon Ducks stance? Are they? You think they're still making the playoff? You
I
had
think
them in there.
they'll definitely make the playoffs. Yeah, and they're ranked third right now, I think,
Yeah.
which people rightfully so. I mean, they had a rough start, but they're starting to look a lot better, and things are starting to flow for them. Um, so I agree with that. With where you got them.
Um, Number 2 was my SEC champion, and I have no idea where in the world that the SEC is going right now.
That's
Um,
Texas.
so I just threw Texas in there for the fun of it, I guess, because I mean, I really don't know. Alabama lost to Vanderbilt,
Yeah,
um, but they beat Georgia,
yeah,
and then Texas is undefeated, but I think that's going to change in the next 3 weeks. So
yeah, yeah. But right now, they haven't played anybody.
they hadn't played anybody. They're about to get OU's defense, which will be tough for them. And then you get Georgia, and then you get Vanderbilt, who's apparently good. So
Yeah,
these next 3 weeks are really going to test.
it's a home game too for Vandy, so that's nice.
That is it. They're not going to Austin.
Yeah, well, I think so. I think I'm not positive on that, but
Interesting. So yeah, that'll be it's gonna be interesting for Vandy. But I put Texas number 2 just for the sole fact that it's gonna be Georgia, Alabama, or Texas that probably wins the SEC, even
yeah.
with the struggles that the other two have had. I think as of right now, Texas is the pick just because it's one of those 3. It's a toss up. You could put any 3 of those in there and it'd be all right, probably.
I agree. I agree.
There's all 3 of those teams. Who you thinking is going to take the SEC?
Um, I would say Texas just off the bat because they've looked really good against everybody they played. I don't think they've been super weak, showing a lot of strengths, right? I think they've taken care of everybody by a
Yeah,
good,
their most struggle game was against Mississippi State, I think,
which
and they
that
still beat them by 20, 30.
yeah. So going back to Bama and Georgia, and they've struggled a lot. In the games they did win, it was really close games against people they should not have. It shouldn't have been close. So I would say Texas for sure. I don't know about number 2 spot but Texas I think has it because they've been consistent. So
Cool. Uh, all right. Number 3 was my Big 12 champion, and this one, Ryan goes away. This one was also a struggle bus because I don't know.
it's
I don't
it's
know who's going coming out of the Big 12. This is a
kind of all
mystery.
all over the place right now. But I mean, I so far the best two, Iowa State and BYU.
And it hadn't really been close either. Like those two have
Oh,
been far and
they've
away the best
separated.
two teams in the Big 12,
Yeah.
which is not at all anything that I expected out of
No,
coming into
no,
the year.
no, absolutely not. It's kind of a shocker.
Like if I had to pick one of those two teams to be in the playoff, it's probably Iowa State,
Yeah.
which is what I settled on. Like Iowa State, which is weird to say that I think that Iowa State's going to win the Big 12
Yeah.
and be in the playoff, but I that's where I got them
Hmm.
as the 3 seed, which I don't think they'll probably end up there, but
Yeah.
like as of right now in the outlook, it's them and BYU, and I think they're a better team
By far, unfortunately, we will be there at some point in the next 20 years, but just give
at
it time.
some point. I'm
Yeah.
waiting to see what Utah does because without Cam Rising, they're not any good. I don't know how much longer Cam Rising is going to be out either.
They've already start. I don't either. I think it's kind of sketchy what they do, like their week to week basis, like pregame decision.
Yeah, like I don't like that.
I don't
I
like
will
that.
say
They've already got his paperwork together, though, I believe, for an eighth year.
that's ridiculous.
Or try to. I don't know if they'll get it, but yeah.
Um, one thing I do like about the SEC is every Wednesday they have to put out an injury report. So it's
Mm,
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you get injury reports daily for the upcoming game. I feel like that needs to be adapted in every conference because I want to know when Cam Rising's coming back. Is he probable to play? Is he out for the season? Like they didn't tell us anything. And
yeah.
without Cam Rising, Utah's not going to be any good.
Uh,
Sorry, Isaac Wilson's not the man. So,
no, no, I agree.
but if Cam Rising comes back, then I think Utah could salvage something, put together, maybe go win the Big 12. But right now, it's not looking like it.
That's wild too. Like he's had such bad luck. If it's not one thing, it's the other. And his finger techness, like it's wild.
Yeah, it's slightly ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, who's your Big 12 out? Like, who's the man that's coming out of the Big 12 right now?
Right now, I'm saying Iowa State. They've been really consistent and looked great. So I'm gonna say Iowa State.
And their schedule's easy enough too. Like, they
It
don't have a
is.
hard schedule.
Yeah. So I think they. I'm yeah.
Next up, ACC. I feel like this is pretty obvious. Miami's gonna
Hmm. Yeah.
likely come out of the ACC. I think Clemson could give them a run for their money.
They'll
They
definitely
don't.
be in the championship game.
Yeah, they don't play Clemson in the regular season, but they play them. They would have to play them in the championship. It'll
Yeah.
be Miami, Clemson, or SMU, and I think,
SMU
or
they're decent, but
yeah, I don't even.
um,
I have to go look at the schedule right now. I'm not sure if SMU plays Clemson or not this year.
okay, if they do, that'll decide of who out of them two are going to be in the championship game. But Miami definitely has that though. They're going to be in the ACC game.
So this will be interesting. Clemson does not play SMU.
Really? Okay.
Does SMU play Miami? I don't think they do that. They do not. You could have a three-way tie at the top, which I
Hmm.
think Miami will be in the number one. But SMU and Clemson, if they tie, how's that work out?
I don't know, man. I don't know how that would. I guess I don't know really how that works actually.
I'd have to go look at the
That's
ACC
just like an
tiebreakers.
opinion, like how they is that just kind of how like the committee for the playoff works? Like we'll just whoever we think's better, or I don't know.
I'm
It's
not sure on that one.
you playing the game right
Yeah, I'm working on my recruiting as we're talking about this.
We're multitasking. I like it.
That's right. Um, you. I'm trying to get this guy. Who are you?
We
Um,
advanced week.
where's my athletic athlete?
We
There you
advanced
are.
week.
Yes, the week has been advanced.
Have we?
Toledo. What in the world?
You tell me who's the high. You know, do I have a Heisman candidate yet?
Yeah, hang on a second. Give me a second.
You said yeah. I
For
do.
any of you that's listening, NCAA right now is I'm trying to figure some stuff out here. Um, offer you a scholarship. No, I just Um. Anyway, as I was saying,
Yeah, but
SMU and Clemson could theoretically tie for second place, which would be an interesting
would be.
conundrum towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree.
Um. But so I think Miami takes it
I agree.
just as the champion itself. But I think Clemson probably makes the playoff later on. Also, no, you don't have anybody in the
Oh, dang it! Okay.
Heisman race.
Am
I
I
still got
ranked? Am I
two
ranked at least?
guys.
Who's top 25? Am I in the top 25?
The playoff poll just dropped. So,
Tell me top 25.
fun fact.
Tell me.
What?
What?
What? No.
Excuse me?
Somehow they have Toledo and Charles is getting a bye over me, which doesn't make any remote sense at all. That's some bull crap. If I get screwed out of another playoff, I'm gonna be pissed.
I would be too, but who's top? Am I in top 25?
We're taking a hard left turn in this thing right now. Sorry, guys. We're
For real.
important business right now.
I need you to answer the question.
No, you're not in the playoff.
God dang it. I know I'm not in the playoff, but am I ranked?
You're not ranked. No, you're not in
God,
the playoff rankings at all.
that's dumb, bro.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you, Chief.
I'm a riot, dude.
I swear to God, though, if I get booted out of another playoff, I will hurt someone. Currently though, you are scheduled to be in the who are you again? New Mexico, the New Mexico Bowl versus Western Kentucky.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're 7-1 though, so you'll probably get after. Anyway, divert back to course here. Um,
Talking about
but
again.
yeah, that's my ACC champion. All of my outliers though. So I got Clemson. I think they're going to come out of it. I think whoever the Big 12 number two, with as much chaos as there being, probably gets in this year. I don't think the SEC or the Big Ten is near as deep as what we originally thought it was going to be.
No, no, screw. They think they're so great. No, they're not. Look at them.
Especially with like I had Missouri in my playoff. Like Missouri's trash this year.
Yeah.
Ole Miss has shown weakness. LSU's shown weakness. Like
Mm-hmm.
USC's not any good. Oregon's okay. Penn State's pretty good. Ohio State, Michigan's not near as good. Like those
Ohio
teams,
State.
the Big
Ohio
12's
State. I mean,
what was
that's
that? Say that again.
oh, it's not Big Ten. It's Ohio State or Oregon. That's their conference, I think.
Yeah,
But
like Penn State will probably make the playoff, but they're not gonna go very far.
yeah,
But
no.
I got Clemson and Miami from the ACC. Iowa State and whoever the Big 12 number two is, whether that be BYU or Utah, is probably going to be that team. On top of that, I got Alabama, I think still makes the playoff.
I mean, yeah, they're
I mean, if
Alabama.
they can go win out, beat Georgia again, or even lose to Georgia again, I think that 10-2 Alabama somehow still gets into the playoff, even though they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Um,
I would love if they didn't make the playoff.
Same. Georgia, I think they're still going to make it unless they lose to Texas and then lose to Alabama again a
Which
third
even
time or something.
Oklahoma, you guys have only lost to Tennessee, right?
Yeah, we've only lost to Tennessee.
I mean, I would. It's I don't.
I mean, OU could work. I mean, OU schedule seems to be getting a little easier.
Yeah.
Like
So
OU's still dark
oh, yeah,
horse
complete.
contender.
You guys don't have any bad loss. You only lost it to Tennessee, which they did lose to Arkansas,
They
but
did lose to Arkansas.
I mean, it's not Vanderbilt.
It's not
So,
Vanderbilt. And I mean, if the offense gets better and Texas isn't quite as good as what we think they are,
especially if you guys beat Texas.
Missouri's bad. Ole Miss is starting to look weak. LSU's looking a little weak. Bama lost to Vanderbilt. So I mean,
So you really don't know, man. I mean,
who
right now,
knows what this SEC schedule is giving us right now?
yeah, yeah,
Um, but outside of that, Penn State, Ohio State's in the playoff, and then Boise State's looking like a real good pick as the G5
yeah,
candidate.
bro. Yeah, they are. Genty, man.
Ginty's
Doing
kicking it. But I
Yeah.
mean, that's my 12. I still I have no idea who's winning the national championship though. If you had a gun to my head and told me to pick one,
Yeah.
I,
Not either,
I
man.
think I'm going Ohio State right now.
Yeah.
I changed from Georgia.
Yeah, I don't think it's Georgia. I don't think it's the only if I could listen to SEC team, I would say Texas right now. But I don't know,
I don't
probably
think there's an SEC team that I really feel comfortable with until I see Texas. Like if Texas comes out against OU this week and just dominates, okay, we can talk about Texas maybe winning a national championship. But right now, I'm not so sure about them. Let
that's
them come out and see what they look like, and then we'll go from
definitely
there.
I gotta see who they how they do against some actual opponents. But yeah, I can see right
These
now.
next 3 weeks are going to tell a lot about Texas.
Oh, for sure, it will. But,
Ohio State, Oregon's going to tell a lot about those teams, how
yeah.
good they are. Penn State,
Does
USC, Penn State should just dominate that team.
when does the Penn State USC game or no? What'd you say? Oregon,
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 Ohio State. That's this week.
Oregon. I'm dumb. That's this week. Okay.
Yes.
And then what other big game is this week? I can't.
Uh,
That's what we're talking about right now.
yeah, OU, Texas, Penn State, USC.
That's right. Okay. Yeah,
This week is a lot of
I had a blank moment, but a lot
shut
of
up
good
or shut up right
football.
now.
It's gonna be so great. I can watch football and don't have to worry about
I know
my
this
team.
this was me
We
last week.
we got a dub, bro. Like, yeah, let's go.
Well, you beat the bye.
Excited.
Um, but yeah, I mean that's my 12. You got anybody that you're thinking is just
No,
dark
um,
horse like this team could make the playoff?
no, not anymore. I wish I would have kept my notes from when we were pregame or the preseason, what I thought, but no, I don't think so. I pretty much agree with everything you said.
Um, I think Tennessee right now, maybe.
I
I
mean,
know
yeah,
they lost to Arkansas, depending on how they can salvage that. They
yeah,
might could push for something.
yeah.
Um, I'm not even sure. Like,
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know,
there's
man.
some of these teams that I thought of the original year. BYU has shown that maybe they could make a push.
Hmm.
Depending on how they play against Utah, some of these other games. Colorado right now, they've lost one game.
Better,
They're
bro.
surprising me. They're looking really good. They could
Oh,
maybe make a dark push. I don't know.
yeah.
What about like Indiana, Rutgers, like some of these Big Ten teams that's 6-0 right now,
Are they 6 and
undefeated.
0?
Indiana's 6-0.
I didn't know that.
Rutgers is like 5-0, I think. Like they could make a push for a Big Ten title.
That's
Like if they come out 11-1, 10-2, they have to at least be in consideration.
dude, I would love, man, to see some of these underdogs like in the SEC, like and the Big Ten, like if they can make a push and they can get in the game and oh, dude,
There's gonna
oh
be
man,
some team that we wouldn't even remotely thought of that's going to show up in this 12-team playoff, and we're going to be like, oh heck, here we go.
I would love that. I would love that.
Speaking of, I got into a Twitter argument about this the other day. I don't know if you saw it, but they were talking about how such these games were just so good and this and that, and I'm like, well, too bad they don't mean anything because Tennessee, Alabama, and all these teams that lost, like they're still going to be in the playoffs, so it doesn't really matter. And they
No,
were like, well, it just means the later games in November are going to mean more. It's like, well, I mean, I guess even if they lose again, they still get in the playoff. Like
no,
Alabama at 10-2 or even 9-3, heck, is still going to probably be in the playoff. So, like, what is the point of them losing when we're just going to stick them back in there anyway? It's like the games don't mean anything anymore,
no.
except when you had a 14 playoff where 2 games and you're out.
Hmm. I mean, they would have a hard time this season.
Like you even losing to Vanderbilt,
Yeah, that would
even a
have,
14 playoff, one loss, like you're probably not getting in that.
dude. This was the perfect time for everyone just to have chaos. Like a good first year for it because a lot of these teams they wouldn't be in it really. I mean,
So I don't know. I feel like I'm still on the opinion base that if you lose 2 or 3 games, you shouldn't get to compete for a national championship anyway, no matter
oh,
what
any
conference
more
you're
than
in.
two for sure.
Like
Yeah,
if you lost 3 games, you're clearly not one of the better teams in the country, or you wouldn't have lost 3 games. Like,
yeah, I
all right.
agree. Yeah,
All
I
right.
agree.
Anyway, next thing. I'm kind of skipping around. What We obviously made some Heisman picks at the beginning of the year. Who do you think is your Heisman leader? Who are some candidates you'll see in New York at the end of the year?
Trying to think of off the top of my head here. I know at the beginning of the season I had like yours, but he's been hurt. I had obviously Ollie Gordon. That's not that's not happening. I think Genty right now is probably at the forefront because, like we said last week or the other day, he's breaking record. He's on track to break Barry Sanders records. And as a running back, I don't care if he's in a G5. I mean, I think he deserves his spot for his name on the list. It's him. I'm drawing a big blank here right now. Blah 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 blah. I don't know. I mean, Milrow's not done it. He was in there, but he's not really done
Yeah,
that
you
great.
lose to Vanderbilt, I feel like you kick yourself out.
No, let's say no, it's not him because everyone. And I mean, I had like Carson Beck in there, but I mean, he's not been that great either. I don't know. I mean, everyone I thought preseason they've underperformed or their team has, and I think Genty right now is about. I would put him at number one, and he's a running back, so I like that as it is. He's not a quarterback.
Mm.
What do you think?
I mean, I'm kind of on the same path. I think Ashton Genty, it's his award to lose.
Hmm.
Like as you were saying, he's on track to beat Barry Sanders' record, and I don't give a crap what team
If
you
you,
play for. If you break Barry Sanders' record, you should win the Heisman.
yeah, like no doubt about
It's
it.
nobody else's. Like it is his to lose, and if you don't give it to him, then the award's a sham. That's the way it
Oh,
is.
like that's
If he
yeah.
continues on his trend and you don't give him the award,
I
you
mean,
are not giving it to the best player in college football.
what sense would that make? Like, yes, we're gonna give Barry Sanders the Heisman, well, she deserved it, and then his record's broke. You're not getting it.
Sorry, not this kid. Like,
We'll
who
give you the best
cares?
offer, but like,
It's stupid. So
yeah,
it's
he
Genty's to
should.
lose.
Yeah.
Outside of him though, I think Cam Ward's going to be there, quarterback at
Mhm.
Miami. Like
Yeah, that's
he's
true. I mean,
clutched up some of these games for them, and
he
it's
done
all been
well.
because of him.
Yeah. He was there. I just didn't say his name, but he's been the most consistent one, really.
Like outside of Genty, I think Cam Ward's the best.
Yeah.
Um, I had Dylan Gabriel at the end of or at the beginning of the year. He
Mhm.
hasn't really impressed. Like
Well,
he's
he's
put
gotten
up,
better, but
yeah,
I mean,
he's put up a lot of stats, but like this, I don't feel like the stats have meaning just because he's put a lot up. Like his team hasn't done anything that impressive. He hasn't really been impressive. So
yeah.
he's kind of there, not really, just kind of on him. And then I wanted to ask you about one guy. I see a lot of people tweeting and talking about him. What about Travis Hunter? How do you feel about
Yeah.
him being in the race and possibly winning it?
I don't know his stats. I haven't looked, but I mean, he carries that team. I mean, he's a huge part of it. Are you looking up stats?
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
Yeah. I mean, he is done really well. Made some superhuman, almost top plays and catches, and I could see it. I could see it.
He has
I don't know. Yeah, it's like I don't know his stats.
2024 regular season. So he has 561 yards, 6 touchdowns as a receiver.
That's it.
Yeah,
Oh, I figured the way people talk, he had a lot more.
yeah.
Oh, he
Defensively, he has 10 solo tackles,
no, no.
15 tackles,
No, that's not no. That he
um, 5 assistant tackles, three something, and then
that's
zero
he,
sacks, one forced fumble, two interceptions. Like
no,
people, I feel like are hyping him up for
no.
not a lot. Like I get it, he's a two-way player, but I feel like people are getting overhyped on this kid.
He's good, but he ain't that good. I mean, no,
Like
he
he doesn't deserve to win the Heisman. Like
yeah.
there was other two-way players that won the Heisman, but
Yeah,
deserved to win the Heisman. You know what I mean? Like there's other people right now that definitely deserve it more than Travis Hunter does.
I agree. I agree.
All right, well, that's the Heisman's. Now, what defining games do you have for the rest of the way of the year?
Um,
I
I
got
mean,
five of them.
just this weekend. OU and Texas. I think that'll tell a lot about both teams about how good they are. Um,
This weekend in itself has a ton of games. So like just this week alone, gonna tell a story.
I'm still not. I mean, Iowa State will take care of West Virginia. I don't know. I don't even know if BYU and Iowa State play. Um, I feel like that game will have great Big 12 implications. Um, I'll say Vandy and Georgia and Texas. But I don't know.
Yeah. Which I got that on here. I mean, Georgia, Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, I think could have major
Yeah,
playoff implications now. OU, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, and then I got Miami, Duke,
yeah.
because Duke will probably be the toughest opponent left on Miami's schedule.
But even still, Georgia, Miami should take care of that. But yeah, I
Hmm.
know. Yeah, Oregon, Ohio State for sure, and then OU, Texas, and whatever the other one you said. Um, yes, yeah, I would think.
Cool, cool. All right, let's get into these
Do they?
preview.
See if I don't know if Iowa State and BYU do play though.
You can
Curious.
check that out for us and see.
I think that's. I mean, that would be a big one.
All right, the first game, I'm just gonna kind of breeze over this one because I don't have much to say about it. It is LSU Ole Miss.
They do not play. Dang it.
This is gonna be the weirdest game I think of this week because this could end up in one team winning in a blowout. It could be a close game. It could be a tight game, like to the end of the wire. Like I don't know what to make of this game.
Mhm. Well, I was looking at the thing. Who would? Okay.
LSU Ole Miss.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. I was trying to look that. LSU has been really mediocre, if that, this year, and Ole Miss obviously has shown some faults. Um, but I would take Ole Miss over
I
LSU.
think I would too. And like Ole Miss hasn't shown
No, I mean
anything that's really exciting yet.
they're losing to Kentucky, which I think that's their only loss. Which and they almost beat Georgia, and their defense is really good.
Mhm.
It's pretty good. But I mean LSU and their losses, and I would say Ole Miss for sure.
I would agree. That's really about all of that one. That's just gonna be a weird game. It could go one of 15 ways, and we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes when it goes that way. But
Mhm.
next up, Oregon, Ohio State. As I said, massive implications for the Big Ten and the college football playoff.
Mhm.
Um, Autzen Stadium in Eugene.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that Ohio State's getting your first test. Like I think Ohio State's been good, but they also have they're kind of like Texas. They haven't
And
played
they
like
haven't
a lot
played
of
anybody, but
people.
they have been consistent, I believe, right? I mean
Yeah, they've been about the same Texas boat. Like they've played
mm,
everybody the way they're supposed to, but I just haven't seen anything yet that's proof that somebody's got a pulse when they play them.
yeah.
So
Mm,
it's gonna be some big time thing for Ohio State. Oregon, it's gonna get to see what Dylan Gabriel's made of,
mhm.
which we think he's made of pretty steel. So
Oh,
seeing if Oregon can actually do what they're supposed to do and live up to what I think that they can achieve anyway.
yeah.
So I mean, as of right now, which we'll make the picks later, but I'm leaning Oregon for the
Hmm.
sole purpose that it's in Eugene.
Yeah, I mean it could go both ways, but I'm gonna go Ohio State just because same as Texas, but wow, I put them at number one in the SEC. They haven't played anybody, but they have done what they're supposed to do well. So I'm gonna say Ohio State. No, we'll see.
No, we're not making picks yet, but sure.
No, I mean I was just talking. I mean I
Oh,
don't know.
okay. Excellent. All right. Lastly, OU Texas at the Cotton Bowl. Okay, well, you don't got to be
Uh, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
one of those people. Anyway, yeah, I mean, This is a game where you never know what's gonna happen. The better team doesn't always win this game. Um, you can come in many times and look back throughout history and see where OU's lost, Texas has lost when they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
You never know what's gonna happen at the Cotton Bowl.
No, you don't.
Um, both teams hate each other to the point where everybody knows that you hate each other, and they're gonna be going all out to do whatever they can to win that game.
Yeah.
Um, Texas, Quinn Ewers, is he going to be able to get in a rhythm early? This is the best defense that they've seen. It's the best.
Doesn't help that he's coming off the injury and he's not been active for the last several weeks.
Yep, for what, like 3 weeks now, I think.
Like
Quinn
that.
or Arch Manning's played two
Yeah.
in a bye week, and then the next week, so that's like 4 weeks
Yeah.
of non-playing time. So Quinn Ewers is going to be a little rusty
Yeah.
against an experienced OU defense.
I mean, she'll get back in the groove quickly, but
But on the reverse side of that, can OU's offense do anything exciting to actually keep the game close?
hopefully.
Because much of the story this year, OU's defense, if they're on the field a lot, they're going to get tired out quickly. You can't be putting your defense out there long periods of time. So
Get that.
it's story of the offense. If we can get out there, if you can start fast and get going, and maybe let your defense do some work, but you got to execute when your time comes.
Yeah.
I think Michael Hawkins showed some highlights of that.
Yeah. And he's starting, right?
Yeah, he'll be starting.
Good. That's good.
So the offensive line, I think, for the most part, is going to be healthy. Like all the starters that were going to start is going to be out there. Um, we'll know tomorrow about Deion Burks and some of the other receivers, but we just got to get healthy. If
Mhm.
the receivers come back, then it'll be a little bit of a better story. But
Yeah.
right now, it's just surviving.
Yeah. I agree.
All right, you got anything about that game?
No, I think talked all about that as we need to. I'm excited to watch it. Man.
All right, well, let's go into our pick'ems through the ESPN pick'ems game. Um, we're gonna start with the first game, Washington, Iowa.
What do you think?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Um,
Probably go Washington, but
Washington has surprised me, but I think Iowa's gonna Iowa here, and I think Washington came out, beat Michigan last week, which I didn't really expect them to. They seem to get some things going on both sides of the ball, help them out a little bit. So I think Washington's going to be my pick over Iowa, just because I know that Iowa likes to not play football on the offense.
yeah, I go Washington there.
Wisconsin, Rutgers.
You said Rutgers was undefeated, I believe.
I thought they were, but they lost last week, I guess, 4-1.
So, but they've still, I don't know much, but I think they've been better than Wisconsin, who's 3-2, and I don't know. I'll go Rutgers just based off that. Well,
Yeah, I want to go Rutgers. I think Wisconsin's just been bad. I mean, they lost to a team that lost to Vanderbilt, so that's pretty telling, I think, of the story.
yeah,
Um, so I'm gonna go Rutgers. I think they're gonna be a better, more complete team.
yeah,
One of the other bigger games of the week, Penn State, USC.
yeah, yeah. I have Penn State on that. I don't USC losing to Minnesota this last week, and then they have another loss. Penn State's looked really good so far.
They have looked good.
I mean, look, so consistency is all I'm going for right now. And
I feel like Penn State is like this sneaky
mm,
team that when it gets down to the end of the year, you're gonna look at them and be like, oh, they're undefeated, or they're 11-1, and they're gonna get in the playoff and surprise some people that you wouldn't, that maybe they probably shouldn't have beat, but they're gonna get in there and they're gonna do some damage. Even if this game's in the Coliseum in LA, it's not gonna help USC. Their defense is bad again. Lincoln Riley's play
not like
calling is questionable at best sometimes.
magic.
Yeah. Penn State probably wins about 14.
Hmm, yeah.
Next up, California, Pittsburgh.
Um, I'll go Pittsburgh here because they're 5-0, and Cal, they've lost some games they shouldn't have lost, or that I don't know. I think they were favored with. Um, but Pitts looked really. They've like I said, they're 5-0. It's been kind of choppy. Um, they lost by 1 point to Cincinnati, or they won. I mean, I think that's their most. But other than that, they've looked pretty good. They only won by 10 against North Carolina, which is abysmal, but they're 5-0 and they've dropped 50 and 73 points at some point this season. So
Who did they
they
play? Who was their
they
schedule?
Youngstown, or well, their first game was Kent State 55-24, Cincinnati 28-27, then West Virginia, they won 38-34. Then Youngstown State 73-17, and then UNC 34-24. I don't know. I mean, they're more consistent than Cal is. And it's at Pittsburgh. So I've got Pitt.
Everything in me wants to pick Cal because they should have beat Florida State. They couldn't punch it in the end zone. Then they did punch it in the end zone against Miami and was up 35-10 before the complete
It
colossal
blew,
meltdown
blew that
that
away.
happened. Um, Something just tells me that California is gonna get it together this week.
Yeah, your mic's kind of cutting out too, by the way.
Oh no. Hello.
Okay.
Anyway,
No.
I think Cal's gonna. I think they're gonna win. Pittsburgh's opponents haven't like impressed me much, and I feel like Cal knows what they need to do to get it there and get it done. They just
Mm-hmm.
hadn't done it yet, so I'm gonna go Cal.
I like it. I'm different. I like it. Something different for me, at least.
Arizona, BYU.
I got BYU. They've been really consistent as well. And Arizona, they've lost to Kansas State, which I mean I can't say much on that.
Both of you got beat real bad by Kansas State, so
I don't want to talk about it. I got BYU. I got the Mormons. Give me the Mormons.
uh,
92% of people picked them. I think that they deserve it. And um, yeah, BYU.
I agree. BYU is gonna be the team. I think they're gonna. It's in Provo. They're gonna be. They're gonna win the game. It's not even
They're gonna win. They're gonna win.
probably night game. BYU. They got it.
Yeah.
Washington State, Fresno State.
Washington State, they've just looked better than Fresno State. It's my only um and 91% of people picked them. So rightfully so again. I'm gonna go Washington State. Go Cougs.
I agree. I think they're going to be the winner, and I think it's probably going to be pretty decisive victory.
Yeah.
Um, Oregon, Ohio State.
This one's 60-40, so kind of yeah. But like I said earlier, both teams have looked fantastic. Oregon had the slow start, but they've picked up momentum. Both 5-0. And it does help that they are at home in Oregon, or in Eugene. But I think Ohio State, they've just been, like I keep saying, consistent. Consistency is key, I guess, so far for me. And so I have Ohio State.
I got Oregon. I've said
Hmm.
it from the beginning. I think Oregon's
You've been,
they
yeah,
had the slow start. The Boise State struggle win starting to look real good.
yeah.
What they held Jenny to starting to look good. I think Oregon at home is the difference maker. They're in Columbus. I think it's different, but I think being in Autzen Stadium is going to make the difference for the Ducks on Saturday, and I think they're going to get the dub over Ohio State. I think if Oregon beats Ohio State, I think they jump up to number one in the country over Texas, especially
Okay.
depending on how Texas performs on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think after this week, we'll definitely have to discuss that, later, and I can see that. Um,
This
they
is
could,
almost whoever wins this game is number one.
yeah, yeah.
All right, Ole Miss LSU.
I have Ole Miss. over LSU. Both teams have showed a lot of weak points, but Ole Miss only lost. I forgot how much they lost by. It wasn't much, was it, by Kentucky?
It was like three,
Oh
four,
yeah, it was
five.
close. But Kentucky has a great defense, and they put up a fight against Georgia.
Yeah, they're a sneaky team.
So they are, and LSU's lost to USC, which has lost to Minnesota, and they're not great, I don't think. I'm gonna go Ole Miss.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Ole Miss too. LSU is just
It sucks that they're, it does help that LSU it's a home game for them, but
even then. I think Ole Miss is still
I think that yeah,
better
yeah,
offensively. They're gonna be able to win the put points up more effectively than LSU does. So Ole Miss wins.
yeah.
Ohio State or Iowa State, West Virginia.
Iowa State, they've just like I said, they've come out every week and been consistent and been very effective on everything they do. They're looking great, and they're probably now my top favorites for the Big 12 championship. Them or BYU, but West Virginia, they've just been too um, unpredictable and hit or miss. And I got Iowa State.
I gotta find my Big 12 preview here. I had. Where are you? Where are you?
What are you doing again?
I'm trying to find my paper I had. Where is the Big 12 one?
Wow, I'm losing things.
That's Big 10. ACC. We do these out of order?
I don't know.
I just saw it earlier. G5 Independence. Match up. SEC. On defense.
Hmm.
Big 12. Here we go. All right. Let's see. I said Arizona is my most disappointing team. It's pretty solid for this point.
I mean, they're not. I mean, they're not. They're not great. So
I had Cincinnati as the worst team. I think that's looking pretty good right now. We're going to
yeah,
come back to those here later in this offseason and see who got the most of those right on those conferences.
I bet.
Um, but that's going to be pretty solid. Anyway, I thought I had West Virginia as one of my disappointing teams, but I did not.
Hmm.
But Iowa State is is the winner here. Like I said, Iowa State's my surprise team for the Big 12. I
Yeah,
think they have a real shot at actually winning a Big 12 title this year.
yeah.
Which will be their first conference championship since like 1908 or something like that,
Mhm.
something weird long ago. So I got Iowa State winning that game.
Same, same.
And then the last one, Kansas State, Colorado.
I'll pick Kansas State, just because I don't like Colorado. But also Kansas State's only loss is to BYU, which is looking really good this season. Um, and then I mean Colorado, they've only lost one game too. They've lost to Nebraska, which is
Nebraska,
decent, and Nebraska's only lost to
Illinois, which is
Illinois, which is
undefeated.
also good. No, that they lost to Penn State, I think is their only
Oh
loss.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Everybody's just good this
so they're
year.
both. I mean, they're both. But because I don't like Colorado, I'm gonna go Kansas State.
I think this is a game I don't know about. I'm gonna go different though. I'm gonna go Colorado. I don't
Boo.
want them to, but
Okay.
I think Colorado's on a roll right now where I think they could pull an upset that maybe they shouldn't right now. And I think this is going to be one of those games where you look back and you're like, huh,
Yeah.
they weren't the better team, but they won that game.
Yeah.
So, like you said, I think the BYU loss is looking real good for Kansas State.
Yeah.
But I think Colorado is going to get it done. It's in Boulder, helps them
Yeah.
out a little.
Older
So I
Schmoller.
think they're going to get it done there.
I agree.
Hey, you got to play
So,
in Boulder at the end of the year, so
I don't talk about it. Anyways, but it's funny. It's so funny. Like that's the beginning of the season, the BYU SMU game, people were just dogging SMU and then Kansas State and like what do you know and now it's like okay, okay. So
I was surprised. I was trashing SMU because I was like, there ain't no way you're making me look this bad.
yeah, bro, for real.
After all the hype I put you under, come on.
Yeah. Like don't do this to me.
All right, well, that's all of the stuff that I got. You got anything else?
I do not. I don't believe. That's
No.
all she wrote for the night.
All right then. Well, that is it for this episode of Athletically Speaking.